Welcome back to Life Advice You Don't Hear in Church. My name's Tiffany Dawn. This is my husband, James, and hit subscribe to see more videos like this, or share this with a friend who's also asking one of the most frequently asked questions we've gotten over the last 10 years, which is this: how do I talk with my partner about their porn use? There's another topic we could talk about, which is how do I talk to them about my porn use? But today we're talking about how can I talk with them about if they use porn and what I should look for in that conversation. First of all, today's video is a partnership with Fight the New Drug, an organization James found like several years ago.
Yeah.
And they're so cool because they're non-religious, just non-profit who looks and researches how porn affects us.
Yeah, and not in a good way. Biologically, psychologically, emotionally, there's a lot of really negative effects to porn use.
And right now they're in the middle of their Stop the Demand campaign, which is all about raising awareness for how porn actually helps fuel sex trafficking and exploitation, which isn't something we often think of about porn. It's this idea like this only affects me, nobody else, nobody's getting hurt. But actually a lot of porn is made by people in human trafficking against their will and helps fuel the demand for human trafficking too. So it's very, very interesting the work that they're doing. And if you want to support them, buy merch like this awesome shirt I'm wearing up here because it's super cool. It goes to their Stop the Demand campaign. But yeah, so let's get to tip number 1, which is set the environment.
The last thing anyone wants to do in a restaurant is talk about porn. Like, it's gotta be a private, even if someone never uses porn, it's still not something I think any guy wants to talk about in a public place. So in a private place, you're in the car on a long drive, it's not.
You can't escape. Good job.
Well, yeah, and like, if your partner's going through something stressful,
right,
or like they just got off work, like you need to
be in the right frame of mind to have this conversation.
You could even do a little preview, like, hey, I've been really trying to understand more about porn. Do you think that's something we could talk about in the next couple of days?
Yeah, and if you're looking for actual like word-for-word conversation starters for this, like how do I even start this topic, Fight the New Drug has a whole page of resources for you. They just have tons of conversation starters and tips for how to set the environment for that first conversation. So that is linked down below. You can definitely check that out. Number 2 is simply listen. If you're anything like me, you want to figure out the trajectory of your relationship from this one conversation, and you're putting a lot of pressure riding on this conversation. Take that pressure off you. There's nothing that you have to figure out from this one conversation.
And also, if you're taking notes from the book of Tiffany, don't interrupt immediately.
True, with more questions.
Listen. Just listen.
Give space.
Yes.
It's okay to have a little silence. Just let that listening happen. Just let them share their story, share whatever they're comfortable sharing. And again, if this is your first conversation about it, the goal is not to know every deep, dark secret. The goal is just to build a bridge. You want to start the conversation going. So it's not everything, it's just start opening that door.
Yeah, so no life-changing, no relationally changing decisions based out of this conversations. I love the analogy of building a bridge. You want this to be a topic. Oh,
that's why you love it.
Yeah. You want this to be kind of the start of that conversation where your boyfriend, your husband is, starts to be more comfortable talking to you about this topic.
So step number 3, pay attention to these things. Okay, you ready? Whether or not he looks at porn or struggles with an addiction to porn, here are the things that you want to pay attention to. What is his attitude toward porn in general? Is it like everybody does this, it's no big deal? Is it
one end of the spectrum?
Right. Other end of the spectrum, so much shame, so much guilt, so much embarrassment. Somewhere in the middle is more like, this isn't right, this isn't healthy, I don't want to do this. And so you want to see like where on that spectrum he falls with his attitude toward porn, because that's going to tell you a lot about who he is, whether or not he currently struggles with it.
Yeah, and where he's trying to go.
Yeah.
I think I say this a lot in a lot of contexts, is that people can love an addict or someone who, in this case, someone who has a porn issue, but it's very difficult to love a liar and be in a relationship with someone who is compulsively lying about what they are or are not doing or seeing or watching.
Yeah. So that brings us to the second thing to pay attention to, which is how honest are they? Is this something they feel like they can be honest about? They might not tell you every little thing on your first conversation. That's okay, but are they an honest person about this, or are they lying or in denial? And similarly, number 3, do they have other people in their lives who know about this? Are you the only person that they feel comfortable talking with, or are there other people who are actually their support system? Because that cannot fall on you.
Yeah, I don't know that you can be like partner and also sole relational support for porn or really any other addictive behavior.
Yeah.
People need a support system.
Yes. So that brings us to 3B, which is, okay, so you're noticing these things now. If in this first conversation, your partner shares with you that they do struggle with porn, you want to pay attention to a couple more things then. Here are those things. And really, these are paying attention to the how rather than just the what. So how often do they struggle? Is this like every day, all day long, intense temptation? Or is it like every so often I do struggle with this? Big difference between those two.
Yeah, and I think the key point is there. It's not focusing in on use. It's more talking about what is the urge like for you.
Yeah. Another thing is, how are they committed to integrity and recovery? Do they have practical steps that they are taking?
Yeah, and where are they on that road?
Yeah. Is this something that they're showing, oh yeah, they've been working toward this. There are people in their lives. There are steps they're taking. Or like, oh, I've been wanting to fight it for years, but all I do is pray. Yeah. Then you're all talk and no steps. Like prayer is great and important, but it cannot be your only thing. And also, what kind of porn are they looking at? Is this stuff that's like really dark and intense? Not that any porn is not dark. You know, like, is this like, is there a lot of violence in it? It's good to have some idea of this. Again, you don't have to get into all this in the first conversation. You probably won't.
Yeah, but especially if this is an uncomfortable conversation for you, it can be easy to have a very surface level conversation and then think, whew, I got through it all.
Yeah.
But I think Tiffany's doing a good job of pointing out there really are layers here that at some point really need to come out into the open for the health of the person you're dating or married to and the health of your relationship too.
Yeah.
Because porn is, like many evil things, is something that thrives in darkness. And to the extent it can be pulled out to the light, you're going to have a much better success rate in getting it out.
In recovery and in your relationship. These things will help you figure out, how healthy could my relationship with this person be?
There's a lot of things that play into a healthy relationship.
Oh, true.
But certainly, if you are dating someone who very clearly, it comes out, has a porn addiction, that's a very heavy thing to work through.
Yes. Can you work through it? Absolutely. We know people who have, but it is heavy. That's something that
that's
you have
several
to weigh.
grades of magnitude higher than doesn't cook well. Or is very messy.
Yeah, that's so true. I remember reading when we were newlyweds, we listened to the audiobook of Orange is the New Black, which has been made into a Netflix series and I haven't seen it. I don't know how similar the book is, but I remember one of the first chapters, she talked about meeting her husband. She said, I wish that every woman knew what it was like to be married to a man who didn't look up porn. The freedom that comes from that. Do you remember that?
I remember listening to that. I don't remember that being part of the book. It's a very good book.
Yeah, and I just remember thinking, wow, like, this is from not a religious person. This is just you know, somebody sharing this. And I feel the same way with James. Like, I've dated guys who have struggled with porn addictions that are pretty strong, and just the difference, the like relief almost of like not having that weight in our relationship. I want every woman to be able to have that, whether you have it now or grow into it in the future. I want every relationship to have that freedom. So number 4, process. After the conversation, find someone you trust, someone, maybe a counselor, someone you look up to, a friend who's not going to spread the gossip but is trustworthy and wise, and just talk with them. Process what you're feeling, what came up for you in this conversation. Think about, is this triggering certain things for me in my past or in my own insecurities? How can I work through those? How can I heal from those? That's one of the beautiful things about the struggles in marriage and in relationships, is they can trigger us. And that just shows us that there's more healing that needs to happen. And we end up, if we'll do the healing, we end up freer than before, which is a beautiful thing. So you want to look at those things, process this, and then eventually down the road, not after conversation number 1, unless there's some major red flags come up, but down the road, you want to start thinking, okay, do I feel like I can be with this person? How is this affecting me? Is this affecting me negatively, or am I okay with this? There's no right answer. It will look different for each person. Is this a healthy relationship for me? Do I want to be a part of their recovery and this process long term or not? Again, there's no right answer.
There's no right answer. It's really, if you started the conversation, that's a win. Like, that's great. And this will be one of many things that you continue to process, you know, with your support system and with the person you're with.
Yeah. So if you're looking for resources to get you started with the conversation or to find help if you're struggling with porn or if your partner is struggling with porn, check out Fight the New Drug. They have a ton of resources on their website. And again, if you want to donate to the work they're doing, you can buy some of their awesome merch or support them by a donation. As always, comment your thoughts down below, and I love you guys, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.